Today's Academy lesson is going to involve talking about a very interesting topic in the world of card magic in card stacks. Now, stack, as we talked about in one of the first episodes, is a prearrangement of the cards. Now, the stack could range from a couple cards, which is known as a short stack, to half the deck, which is known as a half stack, all the way to a full deck stack, which is what we're going to talk about today. Now, there are numerous advantages to stacking a deck and having it in an order that you already know. However, there are different types of stacks, and today we're going to cover just the basics. So in the world of card magic, we have stacks that are just regular cyclical stacks, which I'm going to teach you on today, as well as a stack known as a memorized deck, which is exactly what it sounds like. A memorized deck is a deck of cards that you have memorized the order. So therefore, you know not only the order of the deck, but you know which number does a specific card lie. So if somebody says Ace of Spades, you will know that card is 13th. If somebody says Four of Spades, you will know that card would be 27th. So that is the advantage of a memorized deck. However, today I'm going to cover a cyclical stack, which doesn't have the advantages of a memorized deck, however, still has a lot of properties that you could exploit to make card tricks infinitely easier. Now, the interesting part about stacks is their deception, because you could spread the deck on a table. There doesn't seem to be any sort of order. If you show the deck in the right way, you collect it up. You can have the spectator pick any card, sight unseen by you, and you know the exact card they picked without ever even looking at the card. So that's just one basic thing you could do with a stack. So without any further ado, I'm going to show you guys a stack known as the size 7 stack, and I'm going to show you guys how to get into it quickly from a deck of cards in new deck order. So I'm going to quickly show you guys how you guys could get into the size 7's order from a deck of cards that's in about new deck order. It's not necessarily new deck order, but it is close enough that you guys get the idea. So you need a deck of cards for this, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put the cards in order. Now, of course, not going to be new deck order, but what you need to do is to get them King, Queen, Jack, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, all the way to Ace, making sure that the Ace is the first card. And you're going to split the cards up by their suits. So you notice that I have the cards separated by the suits, with the kings being uppermost. So that's how I've arranged the deck so far. It's very easy to get into from new deck order. You're just going to need to reverse the hearts, from my understanding, and I think this diamond, maybe you need to reverse them. But apart from that, you're left in this order, and you are ready to proceed from here. So here is how you would arrange the cards. This is known as chased order, because you have club, which is for the C, heart, which is for the H, spade, which is for the S, and then lastly D at the end of chased, which is for diamond. Now, this is one way of arranging the cards. If you want, you could do the shocked order, which is simpler for some people. Shocked is spade, heart, club, diamond. This time shocked is based on the numerical values of the suits. So in this case, spade has 1, heart has 2 pips, club has 3 pips, and diamond has 4. So you could arrange them this way. This might be a little bit easier for some, but because I learned this stack when I was younger, I always learned it with chased order, so we're going to get into it from here. But whichever one you guys want and feel more comfortable with is the one you guys should use. So for this, and to get into size 7s, it's very, very simple to do. We're going to go to the clubs pile. We're going to cut the 3 of clubs to the front, and that's going to be the first thing we need to do. Next, we're going to cut the 6 to the front for the hearts pile. Next, the 9, and then lastly is the Queen of Diamonds to the front. Now, if you notice, the cyclical nature of the stack is going to be based on the fact that each subsequent card is 3 away from the other previous card. So, for example, 3, next card up would be plus 3, which is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. 12, of course, being the Queen of Diamonds. So, if we pick up the cards in this way, we notice that the cards are going to arrange themselves automatically in the size 7's order without any sort of thought, without any sort of fishing. You don't have to add the cards up. You don't have to do anything when you're setting up the deck. All you need to do is pick them up like this. So right now I'm arranging the cards in size 7's order with this technique, which is just a fast way of getting into it. A lot of people tend to avoid stacks because they're a little bit difficult to get into. This is one way that I found you don't really have to think. You don't really have to add anything up in the beginning. You could just collect the cards up this way, arrange them in the way that I described, and pick them up like this. And you have a very easy way of getting into the stack. So once you pick up the cards like this, you are now 100% in size 7's order. So the deck right now is arranged from each card, club, heart, spade, diamond, and each card is now 3 away from the previous card. So let's talk a little bit about the cyclical nature of this stack. What I mean by cyclical is that this deck doesn't have any particular order. So when I cut the cards, it's very important to note that even though the positioning changed, the deck is still in size 7's order. So if I cut it, again, it doesn't matter. If I look at the bottom card, in this case it's the 7 of hearts, if I add 3 to that, that's going to give me 10. If I know that this is a heart, the next one in the cycle would be a spade. So that means that the top card is the 10 of spades. You see how that works? So we're going to do that again. The 8 of diamonds, add 3, that's 11. However, in this case, 11 means jack. And because it's a diamond, we know that the next one in the cycle would be club. Because after diamond, it goes back to the beginning, which is club. So in this case, we have the jack of clubs. So you see the benefit of this for a spectator. If we have somebody touch a card and we cut the deck at that point, just by looking at the bottom card, in this case is the ace of hearts, we add 3 to that, which is 4. And then we look at the heart and know that it's a spade. We know that this is the 4 of spades. That is the power of a stack. Now imagine a spectator could do this in their own hands. They could cut the cards in their own hands. They could take a card, put it against their chest. All you need to do is peek at the bottom card. In this case, it's the 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. In this case, that's a king, king of hearts. See? Very, very easy to do with this order. And let me teach you guys a little bit of a shuffle that you could do to apparently mix up this deck. Now, the shuffle is known as the Scherling shuffle, and it looks like you're mixing the cards up haphazardly. However, all that's done is the equivalent of a cut. So all this is done is the equivalent of just cutting the deck once. Now, you see it looks a little bit more haphazard, which is why I would recommend doing something like that rather than just a cut to give more of the illusion that you're mixing the deck. So this, one more time, is called the Scherling shuffle. Very, very easy to do. All you're doing is you're going to spread cards onto your right hand. So you're going to just spread a little chunk into your right hand. Next, you're going to push cards from the bottom of the left-handed stack and put that on top of this stack. So you notice all this is doing is essentially the same as cutting a deck. So you're taking cards from the bottom, pushing them out, grabbing a chunk, and putting it on top. Next, you're going to grab cards from the top and put that on the bottom, and repeat this process. So you're taking cards from the bottom and putting them on the top, and then you're taking cards from the top and putting it on bottom. And then lastly, once you run out of cards, you could just simply finish off by putting the deck on top of the left hand, and all that's done is cut the deck. So you notice 10 of diamonds, next card should be the king of clubs. Same as before, the deck is still in order. We have the 3. Next card is going to be the 6 of clubs, right? So one more time, push cards off into your right hand. Push cards with your fingertips here in the bottom. They're pushing off cards from the bottom. On top, take cards from the top, put it on the bottom. It's a little bit of a knacky thing to get used to in the beginning because it's counterintuitive. However, once you get it right, it adds to the credibility of the shuffle to make it a little bit haphazard. But ultimately, you have a shuffle that apparently mixes up the cards, looks haphazard, and all it does is the equivalent of one single cut in the cards. So one more time, 8 of hearts. Next card would be, that's right, Jack of spades. You guys catch on quick. So one more thing that I want to show you guys now that I'm on this angle is a peek. Now, a peek obviously is a way of glimpsing at a card that you need. And in this case, because of the nature of the stack, you're going to need to glimpse at certain cards. So I'm going to show you guys what's known as the all-around glimpse. So imagine we've had the spectator touch any card they want. We're going to cut the deck at this point. So the spectator is looking at the card. We're going to need to peek at that bottom card. So instead of just doing this to peek at the bottom card, we're going to need to do it a little bit more surreptitiously. So after squaring up the deck, it's a very easy and natural thing to do. You just turn the deck over this way. So you're squaring it up. You're just arranging the cards that way, and that allows you to get a peek. So this is an exaggerated version of what I'm doing. I'm turning the deck clockwise, and in that action, what's going to happen is that I'm going to be able to look right at the bottom card as the cards are being spun onto the left hand. So I'm just going to revolve the cards this way. You're not making it a move. You're not doing this. You're just getting enough of a little bit of a peek where you could see the bottom card as the cards are being revolved in the hand. So in action, it should just look like you're squaring the deck up and revolving it in the hand. But that's allowed you to peek at the bottom card, at the suits, and at the value. So in this case, queen. So remember, once we get past king, that goes past the cycle. So in this case, the next card would be a 2 because queen plus 3 would be a 2. And in this case, club would leave the hearts. So the next card would be the 2 of hearts. You see how that works. So one more time in action, the way that would look like, we have the spectator touch any card. We cut the deck at this point, do the all around, peek at that bottom card. In this case, it's the queen of clubs. Same deal. This time it is the 2 of hearts. Same card. So that is the all-around vanish. That's the Scherling shuffle, and that's the basics of the cyclical nature of this stack. Now, according to Magic historians, this stack has been around since the 1500s. So imagine a lot of magicians have had their input and different techniques that they've created with this stack or other stacks that are similar in nature. So the first thing that I want to show you guys is just the simplest trick you could do. You take the deck, you give it to the spectator. After doing one of these Charlier shuffles, as I've shown you in a previous video, you could hand the deck to the spectator. You have them cut the cards in this way. So you tell them to cut the cards just like this, and to take the top card and hold it against your chest and give you back the deck. So right now there should be no indicator of what this card is according to the spectator. However, you know that by just looking at the bottom card, in this case it's the 3 of diamonds, adding 3 to that, making it 6, and then knowing that after diamonds we have clubs, we know that their card is the 6 of clubs. And you do that hands off. Spectator has the cards in their own hands, and you're able to do a test conditions card trick where they apparently have no idea how you were able to ascertain their card. So that's just a basic thing you could do with that. Now, if you guys remember from last week on Patreon, I talked about a different trick called Par Optic Vision by Animan. Now, I did mention that you could do that trick with a stack, and this is how you would do that particular trick with a stack. So imagine you have a deck of cards. You could do a little bit of one of these shuffles to mix it up and show the spectator that there isn't any sort of stack. Haha. However, ultimately, you have the deck given to the spectator. They cut it wherever they want, and they take the top 3 cards, put that inside of their pocket, and hand you back the deck. At this point, once you get your glimpse, here you know that the next card in the cycle would be the 5 of hearts. So you're left in the exact same position as in the trick that I described last week, where you have to have a prearrangement and you force these cards. You don't need to force these cards because the stack does the forcing for you. You know that after the 2 of clubs comes the 5 of hearts. If you guys remember from the trick, they have the cards in their pocket and they take the cards out. Of course, you're able to read their mind and tell them what card they took out. In this case, most spectators are going to grab the cards in that sort of way. So we have the 5 of hearts that's first. And even if they grab them in the wrong order, you still know the identity of the cards, so you can still be able to tell them what the cards are with just a little bit of fishing. So I'm going to leave the link in the description below. However, you guys see how this stack helps that trick out infinitely, because the deck is being able to be held by the spectator in their own hands. They could cut the cards anywhere they want. They take these 3 cards, put them in their pocket, sight unseen. You just take back the deck. You could put the cards back in the box. You get your peek that way, and you know the next cards that they have in their pocket. So this is a very, very, very strong trick. Now, if you want a different variant on this particular trick, if you don't want to have the risk of that, is you have the spectator cut the cards. You have them take the top card and put it in their front pocket. You have them take the next card. You have them put it in their back pocket. And then maybe you have them take this card and put it on a table. Because you know where the cards are, you know that by peeking at this bottom card, you know this card right here, which is in this pocket. And then this card right here, the Jack of Diamonds, because this is still in a cycle, this card could tell you what card is in their back pocket. And then lastly, you could easily ascertain what card is on the table because you know the stack. So that's just a variant of doing it without being scared of the spectator picking cards in their pocket incorrectly. But you guys see the power of stacks and how they make tricks infinitely easier because they do all the work for you. All you need to do is just do a little bit of simple math. And trust me, I'm awful at math. But if you just play around with the deck a little bit, you're going to get used to the actual math itself. And eventually, you're not even going to be doing math. You know that the cards have different associations with each other. So, for example, the king has an association with me with a 3 because I know that the next card would be the 3. So think about different things you could do with the stack. Leave it in the comments below. But you guys see the power of stacks and you see how easy it is to get into this. So there's really not a lot of reasons apart from laziness to not have a deck of cards in a stack just somewhere around so you could do these tricks anytime you want. So that is the size 7 stack. That's just a little bit of a conversation on stacks. Thank you guys for being part of the Pick Cake Card Academy. And I hope you guys are getting some useful information here. So I'll see you guys on the next one.